Hey, welcome back. Today I wanted to do a quick little video talking about some of my favorite fuller coverage products that still manage to look natural on the skin. So these are products that offer a decent amount of coverage but still feel and look soft, nice, and healthy, and without obviously creating that cakey look that can sometimes come along with thicker or heavier coverage products. So it's going to be pretty fast. I have basically foundation, concealer, and powder to talk about. So let's just go ahead and get into it. I want to talk about what I'm wearing on my face today. This is probably my favorite full coverage foundation, and it's the bareMinerals BarePro Liquid. So this is not only a great foundation for coverage, but I would say its best asset is actually the longevity. This foundation lasts so long on the skin. I think that's what it was designed for. I think it has a 16-hour wear to it. Once it is on people, it does not come off. If you have problems with sweating, if you have problems with makeup coming off around your jawline, you live in a hot climate and you need coverage, this is something to look into. The formula is very thin, but it has quite a bit of pigment to it, so you can definitely get a medium full coverage look. I will say I can feel it on my skin a little bit more than, like my Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder, but again, it is a little bit more on the fuller side, but it still manages to look so smooth throughout the day. I love how it looks on my skin, and I think that's the bareMinerals essence of it. I feel like bareMinerals released this because they were kind of tired of people saying like, oh, I can't get full coverage with bareMinerals. I feel like this was kind of like the slap in the face, So yeah, this is hands down my favorite. Anytime I need my makeup to really last and I want that more like medium full coverage look, this is what I go for. So this next foundation is very similar in the sense that it has great lasting power and also a really great amount of coverage to it. This is something I'll never forget. I used at one of my best friend's weddings last year. She got married at Disney in the middle of summertime, hot, humid Florida. I did her mother-in-law's makeup at like 8:30 in the morning. And then right before the wedding started around 6:30, I saw her mother-in-law in the lobby. And I was like, whoa, your foundation still looks phenomenal. And I was like, did you touch it up with anything? And she was like, no, I have literally had no time. This is just what you put on me this morning. And from that point on, I was like, wow, that foundation just, it held up on every single person I used it on so well. And it's the Too Faced Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation. I am not generally the biggest fan of Too Faced products. However, this is kind of like a demi-matte finish, so it's not the type of matte that makes you look super flat. It has a 14-hour wear to it, oil controlling, and photo friendly. I would agree with all of those statements. And surprisingly, when I have talked about this on social media, a lot of you all say that this is kind of like your everyday wear foundation. And I'm just very surprised with it. It looks beautiful on the skin. It's not too overwhelming, and the lasting power is just phenomenal. I will say I hate the smell of it. It does have a peachy smell, and I'm just not down with scents in my products. But if you are in the normal to combo side, I would say that this is something that you might want to look into, especially if you need something to last but still look nice and healthy on the skin. So this is a foundation my friend got me into a couple of years. Every time she wore this, I was like, why does your face look so smooth? It looks so poreless, and she was always wearing this. It's the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless foundation. This is definitely going to be for those of you who are more on the combo oily side because it does have a true matte finish to it. I will say, out of the two I've talked about, this is the most matte. However, because it is so smoothing, you just don't really notice the matter finish about it. You just kind of notice how the skin looks super poreless. So if you are on a budget, you're looking for something that's a little bit more budget friendly, this is one to look into from the drugstore. Definitely has a beautiful finish to it and looks very smoothing. So that's it for my foundation recommendations. Let's move into concealers. This is a newer concealer that I have discovered at the drugstore, and I cannot stop using it. I use it with my drugstore drugstore stuff. I use it with my high-end stuff, and it's the L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear Concealer. So very much a dupe for Tarte Shape Tape. However, I think this one looks better. I don't think this one is as drying on the under eye area, but it offers a great amount of coverage. I'm talking the coverage level on this is beautiful. You could actually just kind of use this as a foundation as well as a concealer. I've just really been impressed with this. I think that it holds up nicely throughout the day. It doesn't end up looking crepey, and it's pretty affordable. So yeah, if you're just in general looking for something that is similar to Tarte Shape Tape, this is definitely the one to look into. Or if you're looking for a concealer that offers good coverage and just doesn't look like a crappy drugstore concealer. Because honestly, the thing that bugs me about drugstore concealers, number one, is that the formulas seem to be, with a lot of them just have the same formulas. It's just like an okay amount of coverage. Secondly, the colors. The color selection is terrible in a lot of drugstore concealers. This line right here has an amazing shade range. I was just shocked at all of the colors that were in this concealer color lineup. So yeah, I am a big fan of this. Nice coverage, A+. bareMinerals BarePro, this is my all-time favorite concealer. I use this with sheer products. I use it with medium coverage products. I use it with full coverage products. It is just that concealer. It is versatile. It can be worn with anything. My favorite way to wear this is actually with no foundation. If I'm just doing a really light coverage makeup day, this looks phenomenal by itself. It looks great on bare skin. So yeah, this is tried and true for me. I love this formula. It's creamy, it blends into the skin just so effortlessly, and it looks very natural, but it does have medium full coverage to it. So yeah, bareMinerals BarePro, just the BarePro line in general, I like. This is an oldie but a goodie, and it's the MAC Studio Finish Concealer. Now, back in the day, this was kind of notorious, I think, to be kind of like the heavy concealer, and that's because people applied it very heavily. But if you apply this with something like a Real Techniques like small dome brush like this, it looks so beautiful. It looks so airbrushed and flawless on the skin. Pixie Woos are definitely who got me back into using this. I actually, I've been using this in my kit for years now, but I remember watching them probably about 5 or 6 years ago and them using this concealer, and I was just like, you know what? That's a good concealer. I'm going to put it in my kit. I haven't turned back since. I buy the Studio Finish Conceal and Correct palettes. That's what I keep in my kit. And I also use this on myself personally. It's just very travel friendly, offers a great amount of coverage, and just looks super smooth. And hello, I'm here to smooth out your face a little bit more. All right, let's finish this up with powder to round out the BarePro game. bareMinerals BarePro powder. I just realized I had the complete BarePro collection in this video, but it's so true. I mean, this is bareMinerals line for those of you who are looking for something that has more coverage to it. And so BarePro powder is a pressed powder foundation. I don't think that this... It's hard to judge with this. Some days I feel like I really just get kind of like a medium coverage finish with it, and some days I'm like, oh, okay, this is pretty full coverage. But overall, it has a decent amount of coverage to it. It's very matte, but it's also very smoothing. I have a little bit on top of my BarePro liquid today. When I layer these two together, I use a very light hand with the powder, but it gives you a very smooth, perfected finish without going overboard. If you use it by itself, again, same thing. It's a very smooth finish, but it does have a flatter finish compared to like the original powder foundation. So this is a really good one. Overall, I like the formula. It has a great lasting power to it, but it doesn't look chalky on the skin. Last but not least, we have MAC Studio Fix powder. So we all know that I am especially a pressed powder snob. And if I'm being completely honest, these two powders are very, very very similar. Before BarePro came out, this was my weapon of choice if I wanted a pressed powder, and I still think it's a phenomenal formula. Out of the two, I would say that I still kind of prefer Studio Fix powder. Just because, like I said, with BarePro, some days I feel like, it's just like, medium coverage. And some days I'm like, okay, this looks full coverage. With this, it's always, I know I can get a full coverage with it. It's a little bit more layerable in my opinion. And I don't know if that's because the formula to me is just slightly more emollient than the BarePro powder. The BarePro powder is stamped a little bit harder. I don't know. That's just how I feel when comparing the two. So that might just be it. I'm feeling like a little bit more, is emollient's a word? It's gross, but is it a word? I just feel like there's a little bit more give with this powder, and for that reason I feel like I can layer it a bit more. It's also just kind of been with me for a very long time. I'm very loyal to it, and I think it looks good no matter what. It looks good if you layer it on top of liquid. It looks good if you wear it by itself. It looks good if you just layer a sheer bit on top of the skin. I just think you can't make this powder look bad. All right, so those are my recommendations for some good base products that offer great coverage, but also still manage to look nice and natural on the skin. Let me know what you guys enjoy for fuller coverage products, especially if you find that they look healthy and natural. We all know that's the name of the game for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions about the products, leave them down below, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.